Hi guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me Seshadri, and welcome to my preview for the game between Liverpool and Sheffield United at Anfield. Yes, it's been 61 games since we last lost at our home ground, and can we make it 62? That's what we're here to see. We come out of the Ajax game with important 3 points in the Champions League, but not only that, it was a very morale boosting win in terms of the fact that we had a clean sheet and we got a win. May not have been the best performance, but sometimes you're going to have these days in football where you don't play your prettiest, but you still end up getting a win. So that's the important thing. The last time these two sides met at Anfield last season in the Premier League, I think it was in early January, and Liverpool beat Sheffield United 2-0. Mane and Salah scored. Sheffield have had a little bit of an off start. They finished ninth last year after being in contention for European spots for most of the season. Unfortunately, after the COVID break and after restart, they haven't quite looked the same, and that's carried on into this season. They haven't got a win yet, which is surprising for a team that finished ninth last year and for a long time was, like I said, within the top seven. So they've lost to Wolves on opening day. They lost to Aston Villa since then, which I thought was a little bit of an unlucky loss, but I'll get to that. And then they've lost to Leeds, they've lost to Arsenal, and then they got their first point last week when they drew with Fulham thanks to a Billy Sharp penalty, which was the equaliser for an Ademola Lookman goal for the West Londoners. But, like I said, there's been a lot of elements at play throughout Sheffield's season so far. This year, obviously, they had a missed penalty and a sending off at Aston Villa. Which until then Sheffield did look like the better team, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. Lundstrom missed the penalty, and Aston Villa scored through Konsa. So that was Villa's first league game of the season. That was Sheffield's second league game. And to be fair to Sheffield United, they did actually get a call from the referee chief Mike Riley, who said that it was a mistake. The sending off was a mistake. He said in a private phone call to Chris Wilder, the manager of Sheffield United. Leeds United, unfortunately, they ran into Ilyan Meslier, who was, obviously the Yorkshire derby seemed to have pumped him up, and he put in a man of the match performance. Absolute brilliant in goal that day. They had Fulham. They could have beaten, but they were profligate in front of goal, which is one of the things that has been hurting them this year. They haven't scored as much as they did last year. They haven't got as many goals from their strikers, from their midfielders, as they did last year. That's been a big issue for them going into this season. But we'll get to that in a little bit. And even in cup competitions, their luck hasn't been so good. They lost to Burnley in the Carabao Cup on penalties in their very first game. So they played only one game in the Carabao Cup before losing. Like I said, unfortunately, since the restart, their form hasn't been quite what it was before the COVID break. So the COVID break did a lot to hurt Sheffield United more than other teams. In my preseason predictions, league table predictions, I had Sheffield United still finishing within the top 10, but I think I put them at 10th. To be fair, they could still finish there. It's still very early in the season. Still a lot of games to go, and all it takes is a few good wins. Maybe 4 or 5 wins, a couple of draws, and then suddenly you're back in the hunt for that 10th spot. But unfortunately for them, so far the season hasn't gone quite as planned, and it's only getting worse. They've only scored 2 goals, in fact, throughout this campaign, and one of them was a penalty last week against Fulham. So. From open play, they've only got 1 goal, which I think was in a 2-1 loss to Arsenal. So it's been difficult for them. Let's just that, and that's putting it mildly. It's not been quite the same for Sheffield United, and it's a little bit. I wouldn't say it's a second season syndrome. Like, yes, I anticipated that being an issue. I anticipated second season syndrome being an issue, that teams would know how to deal with Sheffield United better than they maybe have in the past. But I wouldn't say this is down to second season syndrome. I think it's just, Chris Wilder mentioned it in his press conferences. I think this is just Sheffield not performing the way they've performed last year. I think that's kind of the main reason. A couple of other issues as well, like for example, Aaron Ramsdale, as good as he is as a keeper, he's nowhere near where Dean Henderson was last season. Dean Henderson was just Dean Henderson looked like a keeper for a top four team in the Premier League playing for a team outside the top four. That's just the way I can put it. So it's a little bit difficult to kind of replace that. And Aaron Ramsdale, as good as he is, and he is quite good. I'm not saying it's a bad signing or anything. It's just it's been a very difficult season for him. Because he's following in the footsteps of Dean Henderson. So that's that. Going into this game, they've had a few injury worries. John Fleck could miss up to 6 months after getting injured for Scotland, fell awkwardly on his back. So during the international break, and he could miss up to 6 months. Max Lowe, 19 minutes into his Premier League debut against Fulham, had a concussion, so he is likely to miss the game against Liverpool as well. And Lys Mousset, or Mousset, however you want to say it, Lys Mousset is also out for 6 weeks. Jack O'Connell is another long-term injury concern. So they've got a few first-team players who are, regular first-team players who are quite, who are not there on the pitch basically for them. And for teams like Sheffield, and Chris Wilder said this, of course Liverpool lost Virgil van Dijk. It's a big loss. But at the end of the day, you look at it, Liverpool has internationals all over the field. You've got, even if Fabinho slots in at centre-back, he's better than most centre-backs in the Premier League. So, in a way, what Chris Wilder is saying in his press conference, it is kind of right. Like, yes, losing Virgil van Dijk is a big deal to any team, and to Liverpool especially, given his impact. But, for a team like Sheffield to lose 3 or 4 key first-team players is a bigger impact, because the replacements may not be as good. And it's unfortunate, but it's just one of those things that happens over the course of a season. They're just going to have to adjust to it, and every team goes through them. Every team has purple patches and patches of rough luck. Another thing that has plagued them is the fact that they've not had the output from their strikers. Last season also this was an issue. This season the issue has mainly been Ollie McBurnie. Last season this was an issue with David McGoldrick, but the difference is last season Sheffield got goals from other players. This season Sheffield's just been very, very profligate at scoring. Like I said, 2 goals in 5 games is not going to get you anywhere. So it's unfortunate, and hopefully McBurnie can snap out of a spell after the game against Liverpool. I don't want him scoring against us. But that does kind of raise the interesting possibility of Ryan Brewster playing at Anfield. So it will be his Anfield debut in a way in the league. Unfortunately, it won't be in a Liverpool shirt. It might be in a Sheffield United shirt. Chris Wilder said Ryan Brewster was at the forefront of, and I quote, at the forefront of our thinking. So Ryan Brewster could start. I don't know if he will, but he could. They do need some finishing, and one thing Ryan Brewster is good at is finishing. Even for Liverpool in pre-season, for Swansea last year, he was very, very good. The thing is, as much as we know about Ryan's strengths, we also know his weaknesses. So that's something to watch out for. I think he's a good signing. I think he just needs more game time. I would personally start him over, McBurnie or McGoldrick, to be honest, because he is a proven finisher, and yes, it's in the Championship, but he can finish. And the thing is, obviously, he needs to be a Premier League proven striker, so he needs experience, he needs games. Give him a couple of games. You're not going to lose anything because your current strikers aren't scoring anyway. Might as well give him a run of games and see where that takes you. So in terms of lineups, one thing that Chris Wilder has sort of laughed off is the suggestion that his 3-5-2 system or 5-3-2 system, however you choose to look at it, has kind of been figured out by teams in the Premier League. So he laughed that off, and the truth is, I would say it is true. Like, he does have a point. Like, I don't think people have figured his system out. More than that, I think there have been some injury troubles, players not hitting form. I think the problems are more to do with Sheffield United than the opposition actually figuring them out. But unfortunately, they are in a bad run of form. The lineup that they will go with will, I think, stick to a 3-5-2. So I think Aaron Ramsdale should be starting in goal. Chris Basham, John Egan and Ender Stevens should be the back three, or the 3 centre-backs rather. And on the left, because Max Lowe will probably miss this game through concussion, I would expect Jack Robinson to come in. Jack Robinson, for those of you who don't know, was a former Liverpool player as well. Spent his time during his younger days at Anfield. Baldock should be on the right hand side. The midfield three, I would expect it to be Oliver Norwood, formerly of Manchester United, John Lundstrom, and Sander Berger there, obviously, as well. Now, up front is the big question. Do you stick with McGoldrick and McBurney, or do you bring Brewster in? I say bring Brewster in. I mean, you're not going to lose anything. You're not expected to win this game against Liverpool, so might as well throw the kitchen sink at it. I think I would say bring... I would say keep McBurney on the pitch, because I think he offers a little more dynamism as opposed to McGoldrick. The problem is McBurney's not been in form. He's a player who's divided the Sheffield fan base, really. There's a lot of people who like him for his on-field stuff, for his off-field stuff. There's another section of fans who think he should focus on his game because there's a lot there to keep him talking and to keep him thinking about. Personally, I would say give McBurney another go. Keep McGoldrick on the bench and Ryan Brewster up front. So I think that's just my take on it, really. Obviously, if you're a Sheffield fan, you probably know this better than other people. So maybe you want to keep McGoldrick and play Brewster, or maybe some other combination as well. Billy Sharp is... I don't think Billy Sharp can do 90 minutes, but late on in the game, I think Billy Sharp will make an impact. But like I said, I think Ryan Brewster should honestly start this game. One, because it's Anfield, he'll be motivated to prove a point against Liverpool. Subconsciously, no matter how much they say that that's not a motivating factor, that generally is a motivating factor. You kind of want to prove to the club that sold you that it was a mistake. So I would say that will play into Brewster's hands. It can go overboard. Sometimes you might try to do too much, but at the same time, I think it's a risk worth taking, because right now, Sheffield's not getting anything out of their strikers, so might as well, like I said, throw the kitchen sink at it, see what comes off it. So I think that should be my 11. As for Liverpool, just a brief sort of thing. The victory against Ajax was, like I said, a big morale booster. Not just the fact that it was 3 points in the Champions League opener against a difficult team, but also the fact that we kept a clean sheet, which it wasn't the best performance, but it wasn't the worst either. So it was somewhere in between. There were some improvements that could be made. Trent really needs to start finding form. Firmino really needs to start finding form. Wijnaldum wasn't quite impressive last game. But I would say the rest of them, Robertson, Fabinho, Gomez looked okay. He kind of grew into the game. Salah, Mane, Jota, Minamino, they all looked good. Overall, it was kind of okay. Adrian had a few nervous moments which he'll need to sort out. Like I said, just play to your strengths. Don't overdo things, which I think Adrian does quite a lot of time. So don't overdo things. Just play to your strengths, and just try and sort of try and improve. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Like you're never going to get to the level of Alisson. Alisson on any given day is a top 5 keeper in the world. So I mean, you're talking what? Jan Oblak, Ederson, Alisson, Manuel Neuer, and maybe someone else. But Marc-Andre ter Stegen, I don't know if I mentioned him. So you're talking a keeper who's in those ranks, and it's very difficult to match that level of performance. But if you give in a good Premier League quality performance, I think that should be enough. And Adrian, he needs to cut down on his mistakes. Communication needs to improve between the backline and the goalkeeper. We saw a few instances against Ajax where that was kind of lacking. But that being said, I feel like we'll only get better with time. I feel like Gomez is going to have to play really, really well. In the absence of Van Dijk, I think it's going to be a real rallying factor. It could prove to be a motivational factor. It could prove to be a rallying factor to bring together defenders, to try and keep them. It would give them added motivation, because now you're getting 6 months without a sure starter, which means you can try and nail down that second centre-back spot once Van Dijk does come back. So it will motivate Gomez, it'll motivate Matip as well. Give chances to guys like Reece Williams, who I forgot to mention this in the episode before. I mentioned it on the synopsis, but I forgot to mention it in the episode itself. Reece Williams, who I'm very happy for him, made his Champions League debut last game against Ajax. So what I will say is I feel like this is a chance for our boys to come together as a group, show what a true squad mentality is, or backs to the wall mentality is, and try and play like you have your backs to the wall. You try and play like just go for it. I mean, there's you're not going to lose anything, but I think it should motivate you to give in 9 out of 10 performances week in, week out. And yeah, so that's kind of my take on it. Trent really needs to improve, like I said. And I mean, Trent, he started the season off badly. I just feel like he needs that one game, and Sheffield has a good chance. Like I said in the last episode, I feel like he just needs that one game where he gets a couple of assists, or maybe gets a goal, and gets his mojo back. I feel like Sheffield could be that opponent, but you never know. Another thing that I will say is the fitness update. Klopp has given us a fitness update. Thiago and Matip are not yet ruled out. They have a training session after the press conference, which I think should be about now. And the press conference is over. I mean, the training session should be about now as I'm recording this. So Thiago and Matip are not yet ruled out, but at the same time, you never know if they're going to play. Kostas Tsimikas will not play the Sheffield game, but there was news, there were rumors that he should be back in training after this game, so he might be fit next week, maybe the week after that, I don't know. But definitely Tsimikas will get game time with how close the games are. He may make his debut even in the Champions League, so you never know. Oxlade-Chamberlain not close to a return quite so soon. Virgil, Alisson obviously are long-term concerns. Alisson, I'm just hoping he's back before the Man City game. The timeline set for him is, next month. I don't know exactly when next month. I'm hoping it's before the Man City game. Maybe he gets one game before the Man City game just to get into rhythm, because you don't want to throw, even though he's like an amazing keeper, you don't want to throw him straight into a game against Man City. Klopp hasn't given us an update on how long it would, how long we would need to wait before Virgil van Dijk comes back. He said for each player recovery varies and things like that. So based on personal knowledge, I would say about 6 months is a reasonable time to expect. Maybe a little bit earlier, maybe like 5, but definitely not before that. As for potential lineups, my own sort of prediction is Adrian starts in goal. No surprises there. Trent at right back, Gomez. Depending on if Matip is fit or not, we'll either see Matip play at centre back or Fabinho at centre back. Andy Robertson at left back, and depending again on where Fabinho plays, we might say midfield three of Fabinho, Hendo, and if Thiago is fit, then Thiago. Otherwise, Wijnaldum or Keita. I mean, there's just a whole different lot of combinations. If Fabinho is at centre back, then I would probably expect Hendo, Wijnaldum, and Thiago if he's fit, or Keita if he's fit. Up front, I would expect Mane, Salah, and Fabinho to play. All three of them got a good 30 minutes rest against Ajax. Personally, I would love to see Diogo Jota or Minamino get a start ahead of Bobby Firmino, because I really think Firmino needs a few games out of the team. I don't think he's on form. I don't think he's contributed anything to the Liverpool attack, anything meaningful over a consistent run of games to the Liverpool attack for well over a season now. And I honestly would love to see Diogo Jota or Minamino get a start. I think on form, Jota is the best out of the three. I would say move Salah to the middle, play Jota on the right. But position by position, Minamino is the guy to replace him. Minamino is the guy who plays centre forward. Both of them have looked good. Both of them look lively against Ajax as well. And I know there's going to be rotations coming over the next few weeks. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Jota and Minamino start the game against Midtjylland on Tuesday. But, you never know. Sheffield United, as for this game itself, I feel like they are there for the taking. Like, this should be an easy win for us. But, there are no easy games in the Premier League. Like I said, I predicted a 2-0 against Aston Villa. Aston Villa ended up beating us 7-2. So there are no easy games in the Premier League. But based on injuries, based on form, Sheffield have too many issues. And we should really be taking the game to them. Brewster, if he starts, will be a problem. But the fact is, just as much as he knows our strengths and weaknesses, we know his strengths and weaknesses. And honestly, I would expect Joe Gomez and Matip or Fabinho, whoever it is, to cope well with Brewster. The clean sheet at Ajax, like I said, would help massively. It was not the best performance, but it was important for morale. We should be able to keep that run going here as well. Sheffield is an opportunity to keep another clean sheet. Adrian needs to sort out some of his mistakes, but he did make a few good saves last game, which was encouraging. And, I feel like there will be a good game. I feel like we will dominate possession quite a lot. And I feel like this is going to be one of those games where, you know, we need to score. We need to score quick. We need to score a lot. And we need to make sure we come out with a clean sheet. I'm emphasizing on clean sheet more than goal scoring because I know the goals are going to come. Whether it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 or whatever it is, I know the goals are going to come. Like, that's never really my area of concern. My area of concern is more to do with the fact that, we have a makeshift defense now that needs to get used to keeping clean sheets. And that's kind of my concern. And that's kind of the area that I would want to focus on. That's kind of, I want defensive solidity, if that makes sense. I personally feel like that is more important. Predictions for the game, I would go with a 3-0 win to Liverpool. I feel like Sheffield's just in trouble. Not in terms of, I would say Sheffield's in trouble, not in terms of, like, I feel like they'll improve over the course of the season, but right now they've got makeshift lineups. They're being forced to change lineups every week because of injuries. They're not on form. They're not scoring goals, and they look vulnerable at the back. They aren't as good as they were last season. Their midfield has been underperforming. Lundstrom especially has been underperforming compared to last season. I feel like, apart from the Aston Villa game where I can genuinely say they were unlucky not to win at the same... I say unlucky, but they didn't take their chances to win. They had a penalty and missed. Apart from that game, I would say they've kind of not deserved to win much. That being said, they did play a couple of tough games against Wolves and Arsenal. So, those are games where you don't quite expect to win. Fulham, they were profligate. I think eventually they will come good in the season. But I think Liverpool at this stage, with how Sheffield is playing, with how Liverpool is playing, I think this should be an easy win. And I think this should be a morale-boosting win for us. And, no disrespect to Sheffield, but I feel like the season will go up. We'll take an upturn in upswing in fortunes. But really, this game is probably not the right starting point for that. But yeah, that's kind of my preview for the Sheffield United game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Sheffield United is the late kickoff tomorrow, 8 p.m. It's because we played in the Champions League as well. I feel a little sad for teams like Man United, Chelsea and Man City especially. I think Man City is kicking off the first game tomorrow. So because they've got to play late at night on Wednesday, I think. I don't quite remember when City played and whatnot. City played on the same night as Liverpool, yeah. So anyway, so I feel a little sad for City in terms of the fact that, they've had to play a late kickoff on Wednesday and then kick off the earliest on Saturday. So fair play. I mean, it is what it is. But this weekend's Premier League action gets underway tonight. Aston Villa taking on Leeds United. That should be a good game. Two attacking sides. Really looking forward to see, what Jack Grealish and the lot, who are on form right now, 100% winning record. And we'll see what they get up to against the likes of Calvin Phillips and Meslier and people like that. But that's been my preview for Sheffield United. Like I said, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully we can go 62 games at Anfield without losing. And my name is Seshadri. Hopefully you guys have a very, very good day. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.